New tonight, police in Mosheim say more than $84,000 was stolen from an ATM Wednesday morning.
Yeah, be fooled. He's a very good new player. Just what he took, I'm estimating 50 grand. It's not just the money he stole, it's the high interest debt that I took.
I've had to sell my house. I've had to watch my wife cry. I've had to watch my kids cry over this.
The next 90 to 100 days, he won't make it mentally.
How many times do I get to stand in front of them and tell them that it's just falling apart? Like, if I could get this short-term debt off my back, we got a chance at turning it around.
This could be the hardest turnaround we've had yet. This $1 million lawn care and tree service has had an employee stealing from them all year long, and now there's so much debt, they are selling their personal house in order to be able to make the debt payments. Let's see if we can turn this around. Morning, brother. How you doing, man?
How are you?
Good to see you.
Wonderful to see you.
Awesome. Love the truck. Pink. Let's go.
Yeah.
Good to see you, man.
Thanks so much for coming out.
No, thank you. Been quite the year, dude.
Oh my gosh, dude, it's been insane. Hey, I'm Mike DeLugos, Attaboy Lawns, Johnson City, Tennessee. We've been chasing our tail for about 10 months, trying to figure out what the problem was. After digging in farther, we found out that we had an employee embezzling in a significant manner.
I'm assuming there was our court stuff and all that around.
No, not yet. He still saw him 4 days ago driving. I'm waiting on subpoenas from Jobber. The detective basically said, because there's not like record of what was deleted, we have to have subpoenas and get record of what was deleted.
So what exactly happened in terms of like him baking the books?
So basically, he would go out, and he screwed us in every way he could have.
Yeah.
But what he would do was he would go out, he was a leader, go out, do the job, delete the job in the system, and take cash payment. That was the biggest way. And he would turn in enough work and make enough complaints about the guys that are with him to make it look like he was just trying to train this crew up and get them ready to go. And we'd have conversations every day about what we can improve and do better and whatnot. And yeah, be fooled. He's a very good new player.
So are you basically waiting on the subpoena so that Jobber has to give them records that are deleted?
Records, yeah, because I've even got recorded conversations with customers saying, hey, yeah, we paid them this amount in cash or whatever.
Yeah.
We didn't even take cash, but he'd tell people, oh, our system's down, I got to get you a paper estimate.
Yeah.
We can't take card and stuff like
Yeah.
that right now. He almost got caught because of P4P systems, actually, though, once, because of the double entry from Jobber to P4P.
Mm.
We didn't know what was going on. We're like, these old jobs are still open. What's going on? I told him to go over it with Ruben, the guy who runs our payroll. You know, these people don't even work here anymore because, like I said, we kept going through a bunch of guys because he kept telling us, you know, these guys aren't working out, whatever, so I'm not getting anything done. So we deleted a bunch of old jobs in P4P, and at that point he realized he almost got caught. He got smarter and stopped putting stuff in the Jobber at all.
So would he sell the jobs too?
Yeah, he was the estimator. We found one job that he went out and bid for the company, came back, underbid it personally, damaged their fence, and ran off with all the money.
And then he just used the labor from you?
Yeah, used our labor as well. So just what he took, I'm estimating 50 grand. I've got $5,000 worth of credit card receipts that he purchased, you know, from Lowe's, Tractor Supply, all the normal places we go. But if you dig into the receipts, they're personal stuff.
When did that all go down? Like it all end?
When did it all end? October.
Right. How did you find out though? Like how did it kind of come to light?
One of my old customers called me and asked for a receipt, cash. They said, you know, we paid the guy cash, and we never got a receipt. And I didn't think anything of it at the time. It was actually a couple weeks later. I was on the phone with a new business coach, and he's just like, something doesn't sound right. He's like, nobody's screwing you, are they? And I was like, I don't think so. And then my mind went back to the incident 2-3 weeks before. It had been so crazy I hadn't really looked into. And we found where that job was deleted. That night we stayed up till 3 and just started digging and finding more and more stuff.
When a business passes $500,000 in annual revenue, it's essential that the owners start to delegate roles and responsibilities within the business if it's going to continue to grow. These roles typically are categorized into sales, operations, and admin. However, letting go of these tasks, you certainly do have to trust the person. And Mike handed off the entire tree division to this individual to be able to do all the sales and all the estimating. However, it came back to bite him.
And I'm sure we've got other issues too, but it's not just the money he stole, it's the high interest debt that I took
Yeah.
to try and rescue it, thinking
So-
to fix the problem over and over and over again.
For that right now, like what are we paying per day?
But I'm paying $3,500 a month additional, I think.
Okay, like interest essentially.
That's just like on top of our normal like equipment debt and stuff.
Got
like
it.
that.
And so that's for like 30 grand is the short-term stuff.
Yeah, 30 grand. It's a year term. That's at 18%. But I took a series of small, like $5,000 to $12,000 loans before that, thinking that I'd fix the problem. You know, we raised prices from 78 to 98 this year, thinking I'd fix the problem. You know, hire a new crew, thinking I'd fix the problem. It's like, yeah, I'll just take the debt, we'll blow through it, it'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe I'm too much of an optimist, but yeah, just a series of that added up. And I was like, on Funbox originally, I was taking 12-week stuff because I thought I'd be done
Right.
12-week, and what I didn't realize until a third or fourth draw that I'm absolutely killing myself with interest.
Do they know kind of the finances and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Okay.
I'm maybe not as bad as it is. $8,000 is what I got in the bank right now. I've got a couple thousand more in my wallet and an insurance check from a different wreck. They don't know necessarily how bad it is, but
Yeah.
I guess I sugarcoat it a little bit, but I'd also tell them that, hey, listen, we've got a serious issue.
And like, do you think the other guys in the field know kind of where the company's at right now, or not really?
For the most part, they know that we're hurt.
Yeah.
I don't think that they know,
Oh, that's fine with that. With
you
that,
know,
with bigger
any
dogs,
sudden shift
we'll
could probably
check
set
one
us
harder
Great.
down the hill.
So on equipment, we basically have 104. On short term, we have 46,000. And right now our monthly payments are 4,800 for the debt essentially.
Yeah, that's probably closer to 5 now.
Okay. And so your hope, when is the house selling going through?
I don't know yet. I mean, it just got listed.
Oh, it just got listed.
Yeah, it just got listed. That's why I haven't even been here hardly.
So the hope is to sell that. You have like 50 grand in equity to basically wipe out the short-term debt.
I've got more than, thank the Lord, I've got more than that equity. I've got probably 150 at least.
Do you feel like sometimes you just trust people like kind of blindly and like it kind of comes back to bite you?
I don't think I take it to the extreme.
Okay.
I'm not just ignoring everything and just going through life with blinders.
What do you think led to that even being possible to happen? That like are we not finding reporting? Are we not having communication? Like that shouldn't really even be possible.
I'd say it was a lot of faith and trust into the person. He proved himself to be knowledgeable and seen that he could run things, but he himself, not Mike, but the other guy took advantage of the system, basically, of how we allow you to have so much freedom here. And I guess that we should crack down on that.
You know, we had meetings weekly, you know, for several months. You know, it was just straight up deception. You know, he'd come in and ask me about problems he was having and how to handle it, and it just felt like a normal relationship.
Being the owner, even if you're not in daily operations, is like having a connection with the team.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like even when I was back at the shop, like even though I wasn't doing anything in the business, I'd just be at the front gate just giving guys high fives on their way in and way out. Like that connection, because then there's the ability for them to actually humanize you a little bit more, instead of just like stealing from the man or like the entity. There's a person behind it.
Yeah.
That communication, like whether it be having daily stand-up meetings, like there should be more of like a camaraderie. Like they're working for the team. Instead of like they just come in, they grab their truck and they hop out. Because there's nothing keeping them from going and doing it themselves. I noticed this morning when I showed up at Attaboy that when the crew would arrive at the shop, they just jump in their truck and head out for the day. There wasn't really a lot of camaraderie or leadership. There wasn't a team meeting. And really as your business grows, you need to shift from trying to focus on doing the work to actually leading other people to do the work for you.
Yeah, he's deleting the estimates. He's deleting everything he could.
Yeah.
And there was no audit log. I still could have found the problem if my books were organized by division, and they weren't.
Yeah, we have to do a better job of like communication and reporting.
Yeah.
They need to know where every job is at, where the crews are at, where's the revenue, like whether we need to have a board of projects, because you do a lot of big projects, 10, 5, 15,000. Those should be like very much like where are the projects, where is the money?
It's entirely my fault. But, I definitely need help setting that up or seeing what that looks like, what good reporting looks like. And that was something we were trying to set up this year during the mess is like, hey, how much did you sell? How much work did you bring in?
This is why it's so important to keep all of your numbers and your bookkeeping organized. We would not have gotten to this mess, and jobs and invoices would not just randomly disappear if we were constantly tracking and keeping things organized when it came to the bookkeeping. I really am a big fan of making your estimate notes your job notes. So there isn't any necessary need for him to do 2 different notes like this, because that creates more time. And the reason for that is because, for example, when you put in here 3 inches of mulch, the customer doesn't know what type of mulch that you're using. You do in your job notes, but they don't know that. The nice thing too is like right now we're having the estimate notes and the job notes. And what I saw a couple times that might be confusing for the guys and cause like confusion is there's different like measurements. So for example, I was looking at the mulch one and it was like, we're putting like few inches of mulch, right? But we don't determine like the type of mulch or a quantity. But then in the job notes, the crew does see what type of mulch and like number of bags, for example. And so sometimes what we've seen is like there'll be a discrepancy between the customer and the employee and they're not speaking the same language. Because the customer's like, well, it's like supposed to be 3 inches. And the crew's like, well, it says 62 bags, right? So sometimes what we like to see is like your estimate notes are your job notes. And so then really that way the customer could literally bring out their estimate and talk to the crew and everyone's talking like the same language.
So what happens though when we don't use 50 bags of mulch and the customer's counting?
You don't have to do anything because they're happy. Like the reason you put that number in there is so that if you hit 62 and you're like, oh snap, we need 85. Like, hey Mr. Jones, we made a mistake on the estimating, or you want it thicker. Great, we can absolutely do that. That's a work change order, and no longer are we using 62 bags, we need 85. That's gonna cost X more. Oh no, an inch and a half is just fine.
But you're saying that I should quantify with the customer?
I recommend that highly.
Okay.
Then
I've had problems with that in the past, with customers don't take our jobs and do it themselves, and then with the quantity given with them.
So like they're like, hey, I'll take the 62 bag and do it myself.
Well, now they just know how many bags they need
because beforehand they didn't know prior knowledge of how to get a bag count.
Yeah. But then really we're depriving them of information. And there are gonna be the customers like, thank you, I know and now I need 62 bags. That's not really your ideal customer anyways, because we're selling the service. The information, like if we restrict information, what we are keeping is also the customer that is like, well, I can't compare to my other 4 estimates because I don't know how much I'm getting. I also know what type I'm getting. Then they show up, the crew shows up with the 62 bags of a certain mulch. They're like, oh, I thought it was like black. I thought it was brown. I thought it was something else. And even if it was said in person, now we're 4 weeks booked out, they don't remember.
Even with a picture attached to the line item?
Yeah, like in my opinion, you want in writing at all times with the customer and the crew of what should be done. And I understand the inclination of like, do I really want to put the quantity in there? Like, so like cubic yards or number of bags.
We just have been burned in the past for something like that.
Totally, I get it. I'm looking mostly at your close ratio though. So the customer can understand exactly what's going to happen and to prevent less project management when the crew gets on site. Because if the customer says, it says 3 inches deep or an inch deep because it's a top dressing, and then they're seeing something else that is like not the same language, right? We're talking bags over here, and over here we're talking inches. Because he is typing this out for every single job. 95% of this is templatized. And he is adding one little thing about the crepe myrtles at the very end. For example, like we recommend installing mulch. Like that could be part of the spring maintenance, right? Because like right now, it would be unfair to tell him he has to do it before he leaves the property because he has to do his estimate notes, he has to do his job notes and think about product and all the rest of it. If it's like, I want you to copy and paste and change 1 or 2 things per line item. Now there's no excuse as to why we can't get that done before we leave the job. When we do an estimate for our guys, what we kind of say is like, anytime the crew contact us back or we have to go back to the property, is essentially we have to readdress the system as to like why that failure happened. So we consider failure anytime the estimator has to be brought back onto a job site. Because like it should be between the job notes and the video, they should have all the information. And if they didn't watch the video, that's a different problem. And if people are calling like that, for example, it's like, okay, what can we do in the template to address these things? For example, do I need to have a supplies list or whatever it might be? Otherwise, it's just like half your day becomes guys just calling like, hey, what about this? where should I put this?
Yeah.
And so the more descriptive we can get in the estimate notes, which become the job notes, the better. It's just a matter of like going through that block of text, for example, and being like, how do we make this more like a checklist so we don't have to make job notes? Look, there's a lot of ways to improve their current estimate process for Attaboy. However, the thing I'm most concerned about is the fact that Mike isn't sharing the numbers or sharing the stress that's currently on him as the leader. He needs to do this with his team if he's going to prevent emotional and physical and psychological collapse from all the strain and pressure. Like, my question is like, is there enough in you to actually like turn the thing around?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if I have a good plan, I can turn it around.
Yeah.
I just don't, other than throwing cash at the business and waiting until spring, I don't have another plan.
Right.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. I'm stuck in flight or flight mode. You know, it's like waiting for the next shoe to drop every month. This is the first year I've actually thought about doing something else.
There's always the hard days. There's the years of 100-hour weeks get started. There's the I'm on top of the world days. This is the greatest thing ever. And then all of a sudden, you know, you've got 2 wrecks, 3 trucks broke down, 2 people walked off a job.
So right now in the business, like who's the person you can confide in on this stuff? Is there anyone?
Like I said, I try to be pretty honest with them,
Yeah.
but I guess it's embarrassment. I guess it's what I didn't even want to do this, you know, but I know I needed to.
Mm-hmm.
How many times do I get to stand in front of them and tell them that I'm not good enough, that I haven't figured it out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Though I've been working my butt off all year and they've been working hard, that it's just falling apart in my hands, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Look, how many times do I get to stand in front of them and tell them that before, you know, they just lose faith entirely, you know?
Mm-hmm. I think part of it though too is like they'll also rally behind you, and like that's the only way I see the company being able to turn around is you need more people taking on some of the pressure.
Yeah, and a lot of it's, again, my fault. I just, it's like I've had to stop so many times this year and be like, we're out of money, I need you guys to go make sure we're collecting from every possible place we could, you know, get the money in so we can function. Okay, guys, got the problem figured out. This is the problem, this is what we're gonna do to fix it. We're gonna push hard. This is the plan. I created the system that this could happen in, but we're just so short on cash, I don't feel like I have time to figure it out.
I do think though, like sharing that with the team is super important. Cause like right now you're taking all the stress and the pressure of that, even though you might have felt like saying that is like a failure or you've said that in the past, like being honest with them is the only way to like get buy-in, and like you have to share that pressure. Cause right now it's all funneling on you, and like I'm actually not concerned about the business as much as I was like last night. I'm actually more concerned as to whether or not you're capable of being able to like take all the pressure and the pain of the turning it all around. Because I know it's like you're like, hey, I'm just gonna quit this. Because like I was at the point where I'm like, okay, I'm still young enough. I need to go back to school, and like forget this. Like this is not worth the pain. For you, the hard part is that's not even really an option because like you got the kids, you got the family, like, and it's exhausting. Yeah. The fact that you worked 100 hours and like, it feels like you have nothing to prove for it, like show for it. But like it is not embarrassing the fact that you have built $1 million business. Like the fact that we just passed that for the first time and that we have no celebration in terms of like, you did something right.
Yeah, I don't have energy.
Yeah.
I don't have energy for that, but if I could get this short-term debt off my back, then we got a chance at turning around.
I'm actually concerned the next 90 to 100 days, he won't make it mentally. Like the amount of pressure that's on him right now cannot be sustained. Yeah. And so the only way that this actually works is if that stress is distributed around the team and we all realize where the situation's at. From your guys' perspective, like what do you think would happen if Mike opened up more with the team about where the company's at? Because it sounds like everyone kind of like hush knows what's going on, but there hasn't been open dialogue about like, okay, we have X amount of debt, we are really in the hole on this is what we're doing to tighten up the ship. Like, how do you think that would be received? Do you think it would not be well received?
I think everyone would be pretty supportive of that, honestly.
I think
And
that we'd be supportive, but we'd be scared.
Would it be a matter of like job security? Is it a matter of, okay, do I need to be looking for something else just in case?
I think so. Yeah, I know we've had people before where they've been worried about not making enough.
Yeah.
Maybe they were having bad P4P or whatever, but they were like, you know, I'm gonna look for a job somewhere else, you know, and maybe they'll find it. So maybe that's where their mind will go. I mean, every person's different, so how are we gonna know? But I think for the most part, everyone would be really supportive and, you know, trying to, you know, kick into gear and get some work done.
This high interest debt is killing him. $5,000 a month in just the payments on that. And he's gonna be selling his house to try to get some of this debt paid off and get himself in a better spot. But he's also gotta fork out over $10,000 per week just on payroll. And we only have $8,000 in the bank right now. The positive thing in all of this is that he's told me he's raised his prices recently and still kept getting work and not a lot of his customers left. This is a huge sign to me that there's potential for the business to become profitable, but the next few months are going to be brutal.
We started a business almost 8 years ago now, just trying to pay the bills. And Amanda was cleaning houses, and I was working full time and trying to start the business for 2 years. Didn't do much of anything, but worked my butt off. But eventually, through a little education and a lot of hard work, you know, we were able to build a business. I was building it wrong. I was building it for size and not profit. I didn't know anything. When we first started, I was charging $14 an hour for, you know, landscape type services. Thought that was a lot of money. We knew nothing. We knew absolutely nothing. But I thought the solution to making more money was growth, but always thought it was wrong. We found some old Jonathan Potoshnik videos and started learning about how to price and what to charge and everything, and realized that I was vastly undercharging, and started getting a little bit of education there. We kind of stopped making videos, and then somehow I found Mike Andy's videos, and from there we built a $1 million business.
Real quick, I just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone watching the videos. All these turnarounds that we go out and fly to, and all that's covered is completely free to the owners. And that's made possible by everyone supporting what we're trying to do. And if you'd like to support us, down in the description there's links to all the different products and services that I sell, trying to help you grow your business, because that's really what makes it all financially possible for us to go to these trips. So thank you so much, every person that watches, subscribes, and supports the channel. I'm thinking like 90-day survival plan. Then we think about what do we need to change so this doesn't all happen again.
100%.
The fact that you raised his price in July gives me a lot of hope that like if we can just have a good year next year, we will be fine. We will be able to sell jobs into the winter. That will not be a problem. The next 90 days are going to be brutal though, because you have low work. You already, even in a good year, you just break even. But now it's piling on $4,000 or $5,000 a month in short-term, like there's just no way.
Definitely.
And so we've got to give ourselves some breathing room to actually like think clearly about what happens after 90 days. Because if we go this year, like this winter, low work, low morale, no cash, everything's brutal, and we go next spring, I don't have the confidence that you're gonna have the like want to even push that hard.
Because if we're gonna have a good year next year and I'm cutting out trees, I gotta hire and find landscape and simplify.
So out of the million, what's trees, landscaping, and lawn care roughly? Like 30, 40, 30, what's it look like?
Last year was about 30, 30, 30. This year, landscape has really pulled us through. So on your average month, we'll call it 100, we'll call it 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 40,000 of landscaping, 27 to 30,000 of mowing. That climbed all year. And then tree service.
Yeah.
You can see I've really just stayed crappy all year.
From your perspective, yeah. So do you think that it should be cut out? Like, what's your thought?
Absolutely.
And so in terms of it being a suck, like obviously it's a big chunk of revenue. Like why do you think it's a suck? Is it attention? Is it the time and equipment needed? Is it the fact that it's only him can do it? Like what?
It is always kind of a separate service thing. It's never something that both crews themselves, when I say crews, I mean different departments. I say mowing and landscaping can't really do
The trees.
Do the same.
And it's like hard to find those laborers, I imagine.
It's hard. It's very hard to find those laborers. So any time that we've lost one of those laborers, it's been very hard to replace them.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it could be a service we just offer during certain months? Or is that pretty tough because people still want services during the spring?
I think if we were going to keep trees, I think that we should reduce to winter cutting.
Okay.
And that's what a lot of tree cutting is.
Need anyways.
Yeah, it's a lot of high need for that anyway. And then we can reduce to small scale pruning that the landscape crew can do.
I agree. But your idea of doing not getting out of the trees is really just for focus sake.
I just maybe I'm just exhausted from this roller coaster.
So it's a good division.
I mean, it should do 300 plus thousand easy. You know, 2 guys.
Yeah.
You know, two or 3 guys. 1 guy estimating, 2 guys working the field should do 300,000.
Mm-hmm. And you're doing the estimates for that right now.
Right. Yeah.
And so if you cut that, would you be able to take on all the other estimates and not have to have the full-time estimator?
Not as we're currently doing work. I'd have to simplify.
Okay.
Outrageously.
Okay.
I'd have to simplify outrageously.
What does that estimator do during the winter? Do they work in the field at all?
Some he works in the field.
Okay.
Mostly he's, door knocking, getting work on. But
Right.
we've always made it through, everyone working 30, 40 hours a week.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've kept, I've got rid of the worst employees
Right.
in the winter to keep everyone running, but I've never had to lay anyone off.
Right.
That I wanted to keep.
If you're willing to be able to get in the field for a little bit of time and turn training into like work, I think we give him the hours during the winter. We get rid of people and say like, look, you're a great mower. We don't have enough work for you. And at the same time that we're communicating with the team about like where the company's at, it's like, I'm gonna give you a job guaranteed March 1st. You can come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And like it's a seasonal position, right? Mowing is like the grass doesn't grow. Yeah. What do you think, like from your perspective, more operation side, like where's the hole? Like obviously we had the one setback with the other guy and that's like stinks.
Yeah.
But like now we have like a lot of short-term debt, et cetera. Like where, if you were like in charge from operation, what would you be doing first? Like would you cut the trees? Like what's your thing?
Right now I'd cut some guys. I would work to minimal crews.
Are they inefficient or are they?
Yes. So some people are just inefficient because they are specifically trained in their department to work in that field. So right now we have 2 extra mowers that are specifically trained to be mowers.
Mm-hmm.
They're very good mowers, but they're not good landscapers and they're not good tree crew. So in saying that, there's a lot of training that's happening now, which is in a time where we don't have time to do that.
Well, the revenue to sustain that,
yeah, exactly. So I would reduce my overhead costs in general and work with the flow of work that we're bringing in.
Do you think if we offer those people a start time in spring for mowing, they'd come back?
Yeah.
And I think that's what I feel like the next 90 days, a way to like sustain is like getting the people that are overhead on the same page of like, if we're not selling, we have to be in the field creating revenue just to break even.
Yeah, I've thought about that. Not specifically for landscaping, but for me to take over landscaping, I haven't, like, that's the whole reason I hired Marcus.
Yeah.
Is because he's worked in the field for 6 years before he even came to us, and he's been with me for about 3.5, 4 years now. So he knows his plants, he knows everything, right? Mm-hmm. So in order for me to take over that division, we would have to really, really simplify the scope of work that we're taking, and a lot of the jobs that are kind of sustaining us through winter, stuff we wouldn't normally get into, which is a little bit of light dirt work, the big plant installs where we've got $8,000 installs.
Those keep you busy during the winter.
Yeah, that's kind of what keeps us busy during the winter. So I would, it would make more sense in some ways, not always, but instead of me taking over landscaping estimates for the winter, it would almost make more sense for me to go labor, because again, the scope of landscaping that I can estimate well is, trimming, mulching, stuff like that. It's not the stuff that's keeping us busy right now.
So in the next 90 days, we basically need to try to get some relief in the payments. And like, that is literally gonna be calling them and be like, hey, I know I can pay you. I'm literally selling my house and I have X amount of equity. I can prove that to you with my loan values if you need me to. I need 90 days. What can I do? Do I have to have an extra payment? I guarantee there's ways to, I know they have short-term deferrals, like 2 weeks, those give you relief. Because they want to claim eventually on the money. And you could just be like, hey, I don't have the money. I will have the money and I will pay you. What can I do to push this off 90 days? They're not gonna want that and you're gonna have to push on it, but they'd rather have their money than come picking up pieces of equipment.
Yeah, that's just not.
That's like the short-term, give us a little bit of breather room. Then what we have to do is talk to the team and be like, this is where we're at. Personally, as much as it is quote unquote humiliating, like you have so much more buy-in if you just get honest with them. And like, this is how much short-term debt we're in. This is how much it's charging us every month. This is how much we're in the hole. Like, we're gonna get out of this, I believe, here's the plan. But like, I wanted you all to be aware, and that's why you're gonna see me in the field. That's why you're gonna see me working hard. Like, we gotta get out of this. In terms of in Jobber, can I know with the whole issue with the estimates, that it's probably not super accurate, but can I get an idea what their close ratio is? Do you know what that is, or is?
We're about 35%.
Okay. And that takes into account the fact that he was doing stuff like, and they just weren't in there essentially.
I don't know. Yeah, that was since we've raised prices to 100.
Okay.
We're about 35, so that probably doesn't include or truly show
When did
what
we
the
raise?
close ratio is for him.
Got it. When did we raise prices?
July, sometime in July.
Okay, and you did that because you essentially like, hey, there's no money being
There's
made.
no money, yeah.
And that was still though after months of him doing stuff.
So before that, we were about 39% close ratio. So it didn't drop off a ton, but it did drop.
Because like the first thing I think about is like, how do we just, instead of trying to spend more on marketing and doing that, like how can we go from 35% to say 50%?
Yeah.
And immediately get the leads coming in. And I'd rather take existing customer, like the follow-up process for an estimate, for example, like right now, is it Michaela following up? So let's say today someone calls, they want an estimate, it gets on Marcus's schedule, say tomorrow. How long does it usually take us to go from Marcus meeting them to us quote in the inbox, typically?
That is probably a question for Marcus. He's the one that.
Oh, he sends them all out?
quotes.
Got a 2-day cap.
Okay, cool.
So I don't let it go out any further than 2 days.
Sweet.
I usually just stay later or something like that to get that done.
Perfect, all
Yeah.
right, sweet. And then Marcus, do you usually follow up on your estimates or the office does that?
They actually are responsible for doing that, but I do make sure that they're following up on that as well. So like today, I have 2 that I just went and sent out like yesterday, and I'm letting Michaela know to go ahead and call them, let them know.
So when typically you're following up with someone and they're like, hey, like I'll think about it, or I'll get back to you, I gotta get some other quotes. Do we have any sort of word tracks or like scripts to get beyond that objection, or is it like you just try again next week to kind of
I'll
connect?
either try again, or I do let them know that quotes do become invalid after 30 days, no quotes become invalid after 7.
Okay.
And just to let me know, or we can always set up another appointment for them to come back out after that.
So they have the automated text going to them, but in terms of the
Yes,
follow-ups.
an automated text, an automated email, and then, like I said, if I call them.
Got it. Okay. Cool. And then if we just don't hear back from them, do we do anything now, or is like?
They're usually just sitting in there. If they do say that, like, if they email me or they text me and they're like, oh, we want a different option, or we just can't do that right now, then I'll put them in archived, so it'll stop sending them texts.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Mike doesn't have the money right now to spend on marketing and advertising to get new leads. Instead, they can take the leads they have and make sure they sell more jobs to them. How can you do this? Get back to customers right away when they ask for an estimate. Also, you can follow up with them once you've sent them an estimate to make sure you close more of those deals. From Mike's perspective, he's also like more of a, if you don't mind me saying, like it's embarrassment. It's like you kind of have to stand up in front of people and say like, hey, this is where we're at. Yeah. You know, it's been 8 years and we aren't making a profit and we're in a really, really bad spot. We got loans that are every single week due. We got $5,000 a month coming out just to pay off those loans. And we have no idea how we're gonna pay that over the winter. Yeah. Here's what's gotta change. Number 1, we gotta let people go until spring. March 1st, you have a guaranteed full-time position. When you come back, I'll give you $500, like whatever it is. Like we gotta get them off payroll. We gotta now convert estimator and overhead into paying time. Like we can do that by making sure that he can work from 8 to 12 out in the field with the crew, training them up, making sure they're rock solid. Then what we can do, third thing is we're only gonna offer tree services for let's say 5 months out of the year. Because like the main objective of trees is keep us busy during winter. Now to do that though, we've gotta reduce the amount of skilled tree work that needs to be done so we don't have to go hire specialists. We can take our landscaping crew, train them up on the 60-70% of the tree work, pruning, easier light work, and then we don't have to go find someone, it's not hard to find that individual. That's gonna get your landscape crew excited because guess what? They're gonna have more hours now during the winter. They're not relying on this other tree crew, which by the way screwed us over last year and has been a really drag on the company. And that's why we're having this conversation. Yeah. And so, you know, some people, if they're uneasy, it's like, hey, I understand if you're providing for your family and you look at this as the place where you provide, I understand why you would be nervous and looking elsewhere. I get that. I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure this business stays in business. And from the top, we are willing to work in the field. We are willing to follow up more to make sure we don't have pending estimates. We're willing to get back and do estimates, you know, cut out services, sell stuff that we don't need in order to make this work.
if we can throw 50 grand at it from selling a house, I think getting that $4,000 or $5,000 a month extra, call it emergency debt that we took. Getting that off the business will free up a lot of cash flow, right? That doesn't show up on your bottom line, on your P&L, but it definitely hits the bank account. So if we can clear up that debt, and that'll give me the energy.
How's it going, man? How have you been?
We had a truck stolen the other night, and they used it to break into an ATM.
New tonight, police in Mosheim say more than $84,000 was stolen from an ATM Wednesday morning.
We got the truck back, but it's got a busted windshield, busted out back window is how they got in.
They found the truck 100 yards away from the bank, and they say another vehicle picked them up.
What's the housing situation looking like now?
We're doing the final cleanup of the house, so we're set to close here on Friday. We managed to make a deal with some people that were selling a nice fifth wheel camper. Just put a down payment on it, small down payment on it, and told them we'll pay them on closing. So we've got a good place to live while we look for some property to live on. One
thing I wanted to ask about is the debt situation. Where are you at with that?
Haven't really made a whole lot of payments, but that was, one of the things Mike talked about is just seeing if we can get a forbearance on a lot of stuff. So we were able to get a forbearance, which is something I didn't even think about because I was so stressed out. And you don't think clearly when you're under that much stress. You're also, I think you get to a point where you're afraid of making the wrong decision. Get kind of decision paralysis.
Do you still have the full crew on right now, or did you end up having to do some layoffs?
We've laid off a couple people, 2 people that were mowing for us instead of trying to keep them busy. We cut office hours, about 10 hours a week, and we just came back to full time the 1st of February. So that helped a lot too.
Has anything improved since we left? Have you implemented any of the systems that you and Mike talked about?
Close rate, it's getting better. We at least know, even if we're not getting answers, and we've called them 5 times, we know they're not going with us anytime soon. We updated line items and made them more step-by-step, and I think that's made it a lot faster, a lot easier to do estimates, just more clear. And again, like Mike said, we're reading off the same notes now when the guys are doing it, and the customers coming out saying, hey, well, I thought we were going to do this. It's the same notes now. The guys are more clear on what they're doing, less back and forth with the customer confusion. So,
are you still offering the tree service?
We're officially cutting tree service after this month. So this is the last month of doing tree service. I'm selling my last couple jobs, and that's going to be it. So it'll be nice to get rid of those high insurance payments, but it'll probably be a while before I get to realize the money that we're not spending. Just seeing the budget, the cash flow open up a little bit really helped that a lot because, just knowing what I knew about our cash position, it was just terrible. Pulling the team together, opening up, being completely honest and truthful, showing them the interest rate, the amount of money that we had to take on, debt and all that really I think it sunk in for a lot of those guys and kind of made it clear.
What are the updates on the embezzlement situation?
I spoke with the detective 2 weeks ago. Said he's going to start getting a warrant, but I haven't heard anything yet. I still don't think they have a subpoena from Jobber, honestly, is the biggest thing. I was able to show some evidence from Jobber, like a little bit of a history log, but it's not super in depth. So I think that's what he was going to get the warrant based off of. Still waiting on the subpoena. I saw him at, I guess, Taco Bell. Pretty much the same day I talked to the detective. I don't know, he had to have known that I was there. And I was like, man, I know I've seen that shirt somewhere before. It was a shirt for another landscaping company not too far away. I realized who it was. I just walked out. I mean, that's all you can do at that point. Nothing good's going to come out of staying and hanging out. So I don't hate him. I feel sorry for him. I hate that the relationship we had wasn't legitimate. It was all built on lies. And, I loved him like a brother. And to some extent, I still do. I hope he gets better. He's got a problem. He's got a serious problem. I hope he gets better. I've had to sell my house. I've had to watch my wife cry. I've had to watch my kids cry over this. That's hard. I've worked for a long time to get to this point, and to not be able to really even keep the house, Again, it was never supposed to be our forever home anyways, but at the same time, just watching them not being in control of the situation is hard, and knowing that pain's caused because because of somebody else or because I wasn't good enough. You know, sometimes that thought goes through my head. Good enough to, you know, manage the business perfectly, and you know, I allowed it to happen essentially. You know, I didn't have the correct system set up, so we would have caught this sooner. You know, so in some ways, it's my fault.